Hello, hello, everybody. I got to tell you, man, it is chilly. It is cold. It is that time of the year where it's just starting to get brr. And I got a guest today. I know he's cold. He's so cold. He's got snow in his name. How cool is that? I would like to welcome Charlie Snogans to the Skits Fun House.
Rock and roll, brother. You had to take the earphones out to say that.
I know, well, see, if I leave them in, then it'll all crackle and it'll break down because you get too loud, you know. So that's just one of them things. You got to pull it down and just let her rip, you know. So.
Let it rip from the bottom of your heart and pull your earphones out and say, do it.
Oh, I know, man. I know. Hey, man, I do that for every show. And the reason why I do it is because it's a really good icebreaker. You know, you get all that out of you. You just, you know, I don't know if this is something that I think is lost to the world, where it's like men need to do men things. And for men, sometimes just yelling and screaming is one of the best ways to get some of that adrenaline out and get you pumped. You know, it's just like, that's why you listen to hard music. It's like, da, 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 wah! You know, and it just gets it going, you know. So
get out there and break the adhesions. Let it all rip. Man. Get out of your straitjacket.
That's right. I mean, it's right over there. It's right over there. I mean, I can go get it, you know.
Absolutely, brother. You got the stripe there on the hat too.
Yeah. Hey, this is all part of skits. You know, when we got to 16K, we added this skits crazy craft mask is what we call it. So on the inside of the Gemini mailer, I'm going to do a nice little thing inside there where you can cut out your own skits crazy craft mask, and you can paint it any way you want it. Right now, I got it painted kind of like the faces of the characters in skits, you know, some of these tribal people, you know. So I was just like, bam, there it is, you know. So there's the mask, kind of crazy, you know. It's cool. So yeah, I was just like, paint it, you know, just have fun with it. You know, that's what I want people to do. I want people to be able to just do some hands-on stuff. And I don't think anyone is actually out there taking the Gemini mailer and utilizing that. Most people just toss that puppy, you know. So I was like, man, you're giving it to them. You might as well make it part of the campaign, have something for people to cut out and have fun with, you know?
Absolutely, man. And what is the origin of the skits?
Okay, so skits. So I don't think we haven't had an opportunity to really talk or anything like that. So I'll go ahead and give you the lowdown on skits. So skits is a book about a guy who can't tell the difference between his dreams and reality. Now, the way that skits came about was 20 years ago. I was working at a TV station, okay? And I was working the midnight to 8 a.m. shift, man. Like all my days and nights just started blending together. I mean, it was rough. It was really rough. I was walking around in a haze and a fog. Didn't really know what, you know, it's just one of those where you hate it. You just hate it. But you had to because you had to work and you just had to, you know, make that money. So what I ended up having is I ended up having these sequential dreams where night after night, or day after day rather, the dreams would start and stop like all in succession. So I had these really, really long dreams over a period of like 2 months, whereas like these big, long stories, these arcs, these epic arcs. And I documented them. I put them in my sketchbook. You know, I wrote about them. I drew the characters, did stuff like that. And now today, 20 years later, I'm sitting here and I'm putting it into an actual book. You know, I make a comic about it. This is SKITS FUN Book 1 that we're promoting and working on right now, but there's actually 6 books. They're all like laid out, scripted and stuff like that. Now I'm just doing the work and making it happen.
Beautiful. That is great utilization of a past vision, whatever it was, the journey you were on, man.
Yeah, man.
And no Amanita muscariate mushrooms were involved.
No, hey,
it was just a blur of sleeping and walking around half awake. My years ago when I lived in Hoboken, my roommate and I had one roommate, and at one point he was on the night shift working at a bank, and I was working all kinds of weird hours in a studio, and we would just be coming and going. I would be coming home sometimes at 4 a.m. and he was leaving. We would just pass each other in the hall. See you later. Just 2 zombies. It was horrible. It was also at that part I was in a weird SpongeBob SquarePants phase as an adult. To go through that phase, it's a little delayed. But I was only wearing at this one phase. I was only wearing Hawaiian shirts, and he would be coming home, and he'd be passing my room, and he would just hear all this happy Hawaiian music, and I would just look up, just pit of craziness. If you're going really crazy and you're just listening to happy Hawaiian music, it doesn't make it happier. It makes it deeper and stranger.
Oh man, I mean that just sounds horrible. I mean, at 4 or 5 in the morning. So I was working at a TV station and I was playing the on-air programming. So I was the guy that plugs the commercials in during the on-air programming. Well, from like 4 o'clock to 6 a.m., we had like 2-hour programs where it was like a religious program, or sometimes it would be like a 1-hour infomercial or something like that. So during those times, that's like the point where I'd be like, and I got to tell you, I fell asleep a few times. Matter of fact, one time I fell asleep like right on the phone. Like I had a phone right there on the desk. It's the hotline in case anything happens, you know. I fell asleep on the phone, and it was ringing for 15 minutes while the whole screen, the TV station, went black, and I was just sleeping. I'm like,
No.
And it was just ringing right on my head, and it took 15 minutes for it to wake me. And
you didn't have. There wasn't one coworker that could say,
"No, there's no one there. There's no one there at that time." You know, I mean, you're in a booth. You're in a room about half the size of this upper floor of the studio here. And it's just filled with about, I think there are 20 TVs and a bunch of Betamax decks where I'd pull feeds all night, you know, and record stuff all night. And yeah, I was just sitting there and I was just dead that one time. And the boss, I always knew it was him. I'd pick up the phone, like, hello. And he'd be the TV went blank. And I'd be like, oh, I'm like, I know, I fell asleep.
Not even a call from the angry ShamWow guy. You're messing up my infomercial. Somebody's got to sell slap chops and ShamWows. Get on it. What? Sorry.
Well,
ShamWow guy.
I know, man. It'd been great if I did, but this guy was like so boring. He just, every time I'd pick up the phone, I always knew it was him because it'd just be, I'm like, yeah, what do you need? I'm sorry. What did I do? You know? So yeah, it was that area, that way. And when you sleep during the day, for me, it was never quite right. You know, you always knew it was daytime. You're trying to sleep, and you never, even if you got 8 to 10 hours of sleep, it wasn't enough. It just never was enough. It was terrible.
It never feels right. The best it feels is if you're waking up around, as for me at least, 4:30. You wake up at 4:30 and it's still dark out, and you're starting your day. And as you're starting the day, the sun comes up, and it starts to feel really good, feel really healthy and really positive, and everything's working right. But I never could stay on that because before you know it, I'm going to sleep at 4:30, and everything flips back around, and you feel unhealthy and weird.
Oh man,
Again.
that would be terrible. That'd be terrible. I just don't know if I'd be able to actually do that, man. I mean, I couldn't do it again. I know that because it ripped me apart. And the worst part about it is I didn't have a car then. I was riding my bike to the studio, and it would be like, it was like 30-40 minute bike ride, to there. So it's like, you'd be there, going there at like 11 o'clock at night. And then at like 8:30 in the morning, I'd be pedaling home. The sun's just coming up, and it's the deep South. It's summer, and it's humid. It's 100% humidity. It's southern Georgia. You got the bugs and the heat's baking on you, and you're just like, oh, I just want to get home. I just want to get home.
How deep South? Where are you?
That was Savannah, Georgia. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design, so I was living there for about 5-6 years. So
I had a buddy that went there. He was a film and editing guy. Is that what you were doing too?
Oh no, I was there for illustration and fine art.
Oh, all right. What years?
96 through 2000.
You definitely came. His name was Colin. Did you know any Collins down there?
I did, but I don't know if I had a film and video guy who was Colin.
Well, he might. Come to think, he did work at NBC now, but I don't want to. Maybe wouldn't want me to say his whole name, but a big guy, blonde hair, blue eyes, added wise,
real skinny.
Not real. Maybe at the time. Sort of the attitude. If you could imagine a golden retriever was a person, this guy.
Okay. Well, the Colin I knew, he actually, I don't know what he did at SCAD because he did fine art away from SCAD, but I know he did something that wasn't normal. Like he always did stuff with sound and stuff like that, but he would do these sculptures made out of metal. So I don't know if this is the same guy.
Oh no, that wasn't him.
Okay, so yeah, this guy, he did welding, and he did these art shows where he did these big metal pieces that were like 8-9 feet tall. They were really cool looking. And
that sounds awesome.
Yeah. He did a lot out of aluminum, but sometimes he did steel where he'd rust them and they'd just look really cool, all sorts of color.
That sounds way cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
really
judging from your artwork, were you doing? I would imagine you're doing some stuff sort of along an artsier track than just the standard. Were you doing weird installations?
I did all sorts of stuff, man. Actually, I made sure that each one of my shows was different. I didn't want someone to go to this show and say, "Oh, that's the same as what he did before." So I was doing like 4 to 6 shows a year, and every show was just different art. Like I would do sculptures, then I would do paintings, then I would do an installation. I would do like guerrilla artwork where it's like you'd show up at a place and be like, what the heck's going on? And then all of a sudden you end up with all this artwork that was being burned around you. Matter of fact, I did this one show where I burned all these paintings inside this house, and I almost burnt the house down. It was pretty bad. Actually, it was so it was like this. Okay, I'll tell the story. So about 30 people showed up, and it was based on these letters that I was doing at the time, and I'll just leave it at that. And there were these paintings on the wall, and then the whole point of it was about editing and burning stuff that shouldn't be edited and just destroying. You want truth at all costs. So I ended up burning these. We had a big burn barrel in the middle of the house. And all of a sudden, I started burn one, and then some friends just started yanking paintings off the wall and throwing them in there, and the fire got really high. And this house had like 14-foot ceilings, but the flames were all the way up at the ceiling. And then all of a sudden, my buddy come running in with a pitcher of water and put the fire out, and it just filled up the whole place with smoke. There was smoke billowing out on the street. Everyone's like running out of the place, and then like the front windows, for some reason fell. Like we had them propped up, but for some reason they fell, and the windows broke, and it would just turned into like this thing. And it was a really cool show. It was a cool happening. But by the, the next day it was like, oh, Mike had this show where he burnt up this house. And then, by a week later, it was like the whole block burned down. The story just kept growing.
Oh my God.
So we just did a lot of, there was a whole bunch, there was like a main group of us, and I'm still, connected with all these guys and stuff like that, where we were doing these shows and installations. And even today, when I go back, it's like people talk about those shows that were done back then, and this is like,
you can go back. There's no warrant.
No, definitely not. But the funny thing is, I went back in 2004 to visit some friends there in Savannah. And this is talking about that show. That show was in 97, where I did the burn paintings and stuff like that. I went into this person's house, didn't know who they were, and they had like the remnants of one of the burned paintings hanging up above their mantle. And I was like, hey, that's a cool painting. And they were like, oh yeah, there was this guy and he burnt down this house with this art show and we got one of the paintings, And I'm like, yeah, that was me.
Savannah legend. The legend grows.
I know, it was just wild stuff.
An installation where people are risking their lives, the legend will grow. There's a bench warrant out for your arrest. An all points bulletin. If this guy enters Savannah, this is a nice community down we got in Savannah. That's the rest of that Skits comic guy. Well, that's where the straitjacket comes from, I hope.
Well, yeah, when I did the dreams, Skits was, that's the character. He was in that straitjacket, and the way I draw him is the way he was in my dreams. I had this straitjacket, all this stuff, and it was just, it's really, really cool. I mean, some of the other characters, they're not exactly how I dreamed them, but that's because you got to jazz them up and make them a little cooler. You know how that is. You can't just, sometimes things are a little cheesy and you got to kind of bump it up a little bit, so, but that's basically Skits.
Yeah, man. It's fun also to see somebody sitting with your artwork. You come back later and there it is. And you think, oh, this exists without me. It's a really nice feeling. I had a big painting that hanging in an agency that they hired me to make it, and but I had a different experience where there was a what's it called, a receptionist sitting near it, and it's this big thing. It was this sort of a half of an Einstein face hanging on the wall. It was all scratchy, and there were planets around, that kind of thing. And as I'm walking out, I look at this receptionist who sits with it all the time, and I say to him, "You must be really sick of staring at this horrible painting." And the guy goes, "I can't stand it, man. It's been years. Could they just take it down?" And I start walking away, and another guy walking with me goes, he made it. And the guy goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, no, I led the witness. You can't be mad at me.
Well,
I got him to say it, so
That's so awesome. Like back then, there was this guy that I had a studio with, my buddy Marcus, and back then we had a studio together, and we were like living week to week just to pay bills and try and sell artwork and do a thing. I ended up moving away. I went into the Army, and then I moved out west, and did stuff. And then when I come back, I remember this was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I was visiting. And I was in one of the SCAD buildings. I was like, oh man, I was like, there's that piece that Marcus did, when we had a studio together, and I walked up to it. I was like, oh yeah, it's still got the junk on there. I was like pointing, and the person, sitting behind the desk, she's like, oh my God, don't touch that. It's a Marcus thing. It's an original. Don't, what are you doing? And I was like, dude, we were in the studio together when he made this. And a matter of fact, I think I fell on this at one time. And it's still fine. It didn't, it's like we'd have art pieces just laying on the floor. We'd be stepping over them, stepping on them. I mean, it was just like whatever.
You had to explain to her, this has all sorts of my, secretions all over it. You don't even want to know.
Yeah, it's like we would find artists that would they'd be like cleaning out their studio, and there'd be like these big artists, and stuff like that. And we'd go pillage whatever they threw away and get the canvases and stuff. There was this one guy who was pretty big. I hated his paintings, but he was a huge artist, and we got a bunch of his paintings and we had them there in the studio. And someone was coming to buy one of Marcus's pieces, and I was like slapping some gesso over this guy's painting, and she's like, is that a so and so? I was like, yeah, he dumped his studio, and I'm reusing the canvas. And she's like, oh my god, that's worth a lot of money. I was like, well, it looks like crap to me, but you know, I just want the dang canvas. There's a reason why I threw it out, you know.
This is raw materials, baby. I'm gonna reuse
Definitely.
it.
Well,
Recycle, reuse.
You know, we're sitting here talking about me. I want to know about you, man. Like, what's going on, man? I don't really know much about you. I just know that you're working on this book, Fatal, with old Sweetcast over there, and the artwork's fantastic. You know, what's your background? Where'd you come from? How'd you get into this?
The comic itself. I mean, I was sitting at a bar one night, and Clint Stoker was wearing a low-cut dress, and there was a sequin top and a pair of matching Hirachis, and he sauntered over to me, and he said, would you like to be in a movie? And I said, what? No, I don't want to be in a movie. I'm an artist. And then he said, oh, then you want to make a comic book? And I said, it's a little more like it. So he got me a fancy dress too, and then we went on the town together, holding hands and skipping, doing a really nice dance, you know. And all the dance moves he does, I have to do backwards, you know. So we have to really match up. It's a pretty tricky thing, but we did it, and it's out there now. And but before that, I was all I did was advertising illustration. I was in art school in New York, you know, just making you know, the artsy stuff. And as I got out, I had a wonderful opportunity. Speaking of touching paintings, I got to go to Italy, and it was called Study Under the Masters, and I was obsessed with the Renaissance and lived in Florence for a month. And I had this great teacher named Sal Catalano from I went to FIT. And we would go into these sacred settings where there was these Renaissance paintings, and he would look at us and he'd say, look at this painting from, you know, 1492. And he'd look around for the security guard and he would say to us, touch it. And we would look at him and say, what? He would say, go ahead, touch it. Just put your hand on it. And we would kind of secretly take turns and just put your hand on the painting. And he would say, see, it's just a painting. They're doing what you do. It's the same stuff. Now just remember that when you're looking at history books, whatever, it's all the same thing. It's drawings and paint and gesso and artwork. So, you know, like that person that stopped you. Yeah, it's just a painting, lady.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. We ain't gonna kill it. We ain't gonna hurt it.
So I spent years doing that, and always thought I'm never gonna use a computer, man. It's always gonna be paint on canvas for me, and it's just gonna be real art. And then as the years, as you end school, and then that same teacher, Sal Catalano, said, if you want to make money, go and advertise it. That's it. There's no two ways about it. You want to be a working illustrator. All the classes I had were geared towards that. So I got out and parked cars for a year as I tuned up my Firenze was your first international. Oh, mamma mia, another paisan.
My wife lived in Italy for a while, so
oh, beautiful.
she was in
man.
Florence
Living there is right. That's a group of people. I mean, I'm Italian ethnically, but I always thought, oh, I'm an Italian. I'm gonna go to Italy. I never realized how much I'm just American, because then you get there and you realize standing with other Americans, we just stuck out like sore thumbs, and it was just. I don't know what it was, clothes, the way you walk, the shoes.
It's the shoes.
You walk around and look at stuff. And I looked at one buddy of mine who was he was a hick from Pennsylvania, and another buddy of mine who was Korean. And it wasn't even, there were plenty of Asians around, but he didn't look like them. He looked American like us. And
he didn't have a camera, did he?
No, none of us did. And we were just realizing we don't blend. I'm ethnically Italian. I don't look like them. And man, everything was different. They were slow. And instead of, they would be drinking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, I think what they did was, you know, hey man, we ran the world. We're going to sit underneath the Cinzano umbrella and smoke a cigarette in the afternoon. That's nice. You run the world, America. We'll take it
Yeah,
easy. I think was their
yeah,
outlook.
yeah.
And
Them and the Spanish, man, they got them siestas, man. That's what it's all about. You take them afternoons off, you know.
it's the way to do it. Everything
Yeah,
shut. Everything. Well, I mean, if you're moving quick and you got business to do, it's a real pain in the ass because you turn around and say, "I gotta get out of the bank. It's 2 o'clock. The bank's closed.
yeah.
Where are they? They're drunk.
They're on the
That
beach.
guy.
They're sitting under a
That,
tree.
that, they're right. They're topless on the beach, and this guy's eating a cheeseburger while he's smoking. It's just all the pleasures coming in the face. Do it all
Yeah,
at once.
that's 1970s America right there. They still do it.
Yeah. Why are you going so fast? Have a limoncello. Slow down. Go to the beach. You don't look. Why are you so pasty white? Get a tan. Take it easy. What's a coming to go? What's a coming to go? Get a fine tutti frutti right here. So, so yeah. But so this same teacher who was a study under the masters, I lived there for a while, and he told me because FIT is where I went to school, and it was very geared towards to be a working illustrator.
Yeah.
And I started working in advertising, and all ideas of walking around with a wet painting to bring to someone go out the window when somebody has a deadline. Because you can't, you're walking
No,
down the street and there's wet oil paints under your arm.
no, no, no.
What am I going to do with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Before you
That's
know
why
it,
you use gouache. Use gouache.
man, I had a teacher who could make sergeant looking paintings, and it was
Yeah,
all thick gouache.
yeah,
And this is just, oh my God. You never heard of this guy, Tony Coquinos. You can't even find his artwork online. It was the most incredible artist of all. And there's sort of two ways it works in my brain, which is when there's this many incredible artists out there and you've never even heard of them, it sort of gives you a good feeling that there's all this great artwork out there, and at the same time a bad feeling because you've never heard of them. And they're all out there, and they're all
yeah,
buzzing around in 800 directions, making who knows what now. Back then, advertising. Maybe now they're in video games, and
yeah,
it's great. There's so much working uh, artistic power out there that it's utilized in so many weird ways that we've never heard of, and I love it.
yeah,
And so I went to advertising where there's sort of, again, there's two sides to it, which is you get this opportunity to work with so many incredible creative people, and you get to work with, because everything's so quick and you just turn it around.
yep,
And that idea of using a canvas and wet paint goes out the window because it's drawings on Bienfang mark paper, and that goes out the window. Now it's all computers, and there's all these ideas buzzing around. And at this flip side, there's a lot of, maybe, I don't know if it's 50-50, but there's a lot of hacks who they didn't care about their idea, and then they just give your idea to this, maybe a copywriter and an art trader give their idea to you, and you think, well, this isn't even formed, this is nothing. So you have to maybe get the other side of it and just give it back to them for their meeting, because
yeah,
a lot of the people that work in advertising, they love it, and they're there to make cool ideas, and at the same time there's other people there that are just in a way station before they go on to the next thing.
yeah,
And so then after doing that for years, I don't know, you've got half an idea and somebody else has half an idea, and you put them together, and the chocolate and the peanut butter make a wonderful Reese's cup. And it's fun. It's fun to bounce ideas off people like that, man. And
yeah.
I showed Clint some drawings, and he said, I think I know what to do with these. And he pulled it out of his cleavage, just a beautiful idea. And I thought, wow, Clint, that was sexy. I didn't know you could do that.
That's awesome. That's just fantastic, man. Just knowing that, like, you have an idea, someone else has an idea. Hey, you show something to somebody. Hey, I could maybe do a little something on that. I mean, that's what the real world is like, actually. There's a lot of people, I think, that get into the arts just thinking that I'm going to do all of my own ideas all the time and no one can say anything about it. And it's like the first job you get, you immediately get squashed. And you're just like, oh, I don't get to do my stuff. And it's like, hey, man, that's just how it is, It's like this person that doesn't know anything about art is telling you how to do art, and that's just how it is,
That is, dude, that's a weird aspect because, I mean, I don't know in your design, what you did with that, but when you're the designer or the illustrator, your title never changes. You never go up or down the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
You're sort of this satellite entity that they'll send something to you and you send it back. But within that structure, then there's a project manager, a producer, an art director, a copywriter, and then a creative director.
Yep.
Sort of. That's basically the layout. And suddenly, you might be working with a brand new art director who then is giving you all their notes, and they don't know how to do anything yet.
Yep.
They don't know the process. They don't know where it comes. So you could try and say, you could lead them a little bit and try and say, oh, I've done this a lot. You could try this. And they'll just say no. Or they could be very receptive. You never. It's a total crap. It's so strange.
Yeah, it is.
Man, I'm in my 40s. Before you know, I'm in my 50s, and I'll still be dealing with 22, maybe a 22-year-old art director who will get out of school and they'll think, I'm going to change the world with my art direction and everyone's going to revolutionary. Take it easy. This is a job.
Well, hey, I learned a long time ago, if you want to make money, you go sit in on meetings. You don't sit at the computer and do work, okay? And that's to everyone out there. If you want to make money, you go to the meeting. Don't be the guy that sits at the computer all day working, because you'll never make any money. You'll just be at the same spot the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well,
so you said you went to FIT, and what was the dates for that?
I started in '98 and graduated in 2002. And it was a fun part of town. I was there every day for, give or take, 4 days a week, then 3 days a week at the end. And then I think around the 9/11 stuff, I decided I'll just do most work from home. I don't want to go be there again because I was in town and it was 8:58 and I was going into a class and somebody said, hey, an airplane just hit the World Trade Center, and we all thought, we were outside smoking before class. You mean like a Cessna? And so, it was a strange day. I couldn't get off the island. But then for the next 2 weeks, I realized, oh, I don't have to go to school. I'll just make paintings at home, Yeah. And then that turned into, I turned into social distancing way before social distancing was a thing, man. I started working in advertising and had to be in the studio, but then around 2006 or 7, I started just working from home in Hoboken, and just got more and more distance. And I realized, oh, I never have to go in ever again. I could move to Tennessee. I could move to Nova Scotia. I could move to Tokyo. Whatever. I could just. Who cares? Because especially in advertising, you'll get a call at 1:30 in the morning. We have to change the boards for tomorrow. Are you kidding? I got a call at 3:30 in the morning. Dude, I just got your boards. I've got some notes. What's wrong with you? Are you just a cokehead out in the town? Slow down, pal. And but yeah, so then and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time when I would get calls that late, would say, "What's wrong with these people? What's happened? What's wrong with them? It's advertising." And then about a year later, we were watching Mad Men, and Don Draper gets a call from the Hilton hotel company, and he gets out of bed at 2:30 in the morning, and he goes in, and I turned to her, I said, see, Don Draper does it. You understand now? It's advertising. You just do it. And yes, we have to drink that much. That's part of it.
Now I got to tell you, I never got a call from any of my bosses at 3:30 in the morning or 1 or any of that sort of stuff. But the first job I had
that's why you fell asleep on your telephone.
Yeah, exactly.
They know beforehand, this guy doesn't even answer the phone, and he works all night.
Exactly. So, but my first job, actually, this was after I got out of the Army, and then I started doing art jobs. I got hired to just do graphic design for a turnkey operation where they do all the products in-house. It was like knockoffs of name brands for people like Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, all those types of places. And it was like first day got hired, second day the art director quit, and then second day I became the art director, and it was really weird because it was my first job out of college and out of the Army. So, but what they would do is they'd have these like meetings that would just pop up. It's like, oh my gosh, we got to go see CVS tomorrow, and we got this meeting, and we need 25 new products to show them, and we need samples, little fold up mocked boxes and stuff. And I'm like, and it's like
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, can you have all these 25 different products made and samples folded up and some labels posted on some generic tubes? I'm like, I guess, yeah. Oh man. Because none of this stuff was designed. Yeah, I had to design it too to make like something, so. But
if you weren't the new guy, you would have said, no, there's not a chance of that. Sorry. You're gonna have to postpone that meeting.
Well, that's the thing, they were a fresh new company just trying to get into places. Like when I first started there, we had like a couple of little, things here and there, and then by the time I left, they were pulling down like 25, 30 products in CVS. They were doing 10, 20 products for Walmart. We became this giant place, and that was just over 3 years. It was fun because I learned how to work fast and just get stuff done, and so that really helped me when I started going to other places. Like years later, I'd work at McFarlane and a few other places and do design and products and stuff, and
nice.
It really helped.
Too? I was talking to Vinny. Vinny Tarver?
Yeah.
He did his stint for a while there too. Did you cross paths with him?
No, he was in the early 2000s. He was at the New Jersey office. Mine was in like the later 2000s. I think I started 2007, and I was in Tempe, where the Tempe office was, where McFarlane was and everything. Like McFarlane would go over to the New Jersey office from time to time. Like that's kind of where it got started. But mainly everything was done in Tempe after Vinny left and stuff. So,
yeah. I see. And all this stress, all this crazy, deliver tomorrow, whatever, whoever you're doing the business for. Now, you were in the Army. Did you see battle?
No, I was in, I worked, I programmed satellites. So I sat in a bunk. Yeah, well, I mean, I sat in a bunker with no windows 24/7 in El Paso, Texas. So, hey there, how are you?
Say hi to Skits. His name is Skits. Go ahead, talk it about your ear to say hi.
Hi.
There you go. Do you like his mask? Do you like his mask? It's pretty cool, right? Do you have a mask? Go ahead, you get a mask and come back and say hi with a mask on. This is mask time. Oh, and get me one too. I'll wear one too. So you were programming satellites?
Yeah, there we go. We got to get our helmets on.
This is my new social distancing gear.
There you go.
Echoing now? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Is it echoing now?
A little bit,
Does it sound a little different?
It sounds like you're in space.
Ground Control to Skits Comics. We have a problem, Skits. We have a problem.
Coming in.
You have a lot of people, but seldom can I say Skits Comics. You have the right stuff. Absolutely. We're going to run a series of tests on you. We'll see if you can deal with the super G's in space, because we're going to strap you down, and with deadlines. Wait, I can't say.
Okay, so she says, ask Charlie about working with deadlines with Sweetcast. Was there a time limit with Clint? How is it? Oh, Batman mask.
We've got a Batman in the shuttle.
Hey there,
Let's see, do we have, well, no, I mean, it was get enough artwork. Do you want to say hi to him? Tell him what you think of his mask. Tell him what, pardon me, I just burped. Do you like Skit's mask? Talk into my ear.
I like your mask.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
He said, I appreciate it. And he said, hi, Batman. She was, who Who were you for Halloween? Tell them into my ear.
I was on for Halloween.
Ooh, that's awesome. That
All
is
right,
so
now we got
awesome.
someone else to say hi with a mask on.
Oh,
Go ahead, you can stand right in front of me.
oh, got Spider-Man now.
Go ahead, talk into my ear. What do you think of his mask? His name is Skits Comics. I'll say hi, Skits Comics. Ooh,
Hey
he
there.
looks. I like the way his mask has pointy stuff on top. He's got. It looks like pointy hair, right? Does your hair get pointy? Only when you go to sleep too long. All right, wave. I like. Ooh, you both are in red and white. You guys look
Oh,
pretty fast with the red and white, eh?
I like
All right.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character.
Me too, man. Me too. It's what I grew up on. All right. Do we have I don't know, our deadlines are. It was sort of getting artwork out there to be tantalizing enough, especially
Yeah.
because we're too unknown. Yeah, he's almost completely unknown, and I am totally and completely unknown.
Yeah.
Just riding in off the desert plains, you gotta let people know who you are, and so we put around 10 pages or so out there, and now I think we're gonna plan to ship around February, something like that. So that'll be the next deadline. There's about 25 pages left to do, but other than that, I mean, it's good because it's so loose, so we can still work and we have our advertising and stuff like that. Got to bring in DC Comics and Marvel Comics together. And what did we just watch? We just watched the Avengers, and
Ooh.
oh man, so all the time I'm thinking, when can I show them these movies? I don't know. And so we watched some of Thor, and I showed them Thor Ragnarok when Thor and Hulk fight. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
That was. We just watched last night when the music comes in, the Led Zeppelin music.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All I'm thinking is, now I know they're going to do different stuff with those movies now. All I'm thinking is, this is the coolest thing I have ever seen. Hulk is fighting a wolf on the edge of a waterfall into space, and
Yeah. It was
music
awesome.
time.
Uh-oh. What can you play anything?
Yeah, go ahead, play into my ear. Keep it on. Yeah, welcome to the insane asylum. Skits, I'm living in the cuckoo clock. I'm gonna need a straight jacket and a helmet for safety.
Ooh.
Nice. All right, wave goodbye. Let me talk to Skits. Nice talking,
Bye.
Skits. But yeah,
That's awesome.
I'll tell you too, kind of them that made me back into comics, because when he turned 4, I started reading the Jack Kirby and John Byrne Fantastic Four as bedtime stories. And it was still, I had never read Winnie the Pooh. I had never read Beatrix Potter. And I suddenly thought, Beatrix Potter is the mad, craziest genius ever. I don't know if you've ever read Peter Rabbit and Mr. Jeremy Fisher. All right, I can't hear Stevie Wonder. Go play in the other room. We got the genius of young Stevie over there. And so I read to them, and reading to them reinvigorated my whole. I was a dead inside, just working illustrator, just churning out storyboards and big boy illustrations of the big boy world. And as I was reading that stuff to them, I thought, oh, this is fun. I started drawing cartoons again. I drew him as a you see his blonde hair. He was Cupid. Pose for Cupid. Once you start drawing babies and little kids, you sort of, the next step is cartoons, because that's the makeup, right? Big eyes, big heads, funny, funny shape around. They're funny. They trip and fall. It's all hilarious. And then you're drawing cartoons, and then the next leap is comics. And then I was reading, um, then we read the old Spider-Man stuff together, and it's how he learned to read, because when the block letters or the sound effects come up,
Yeah.
it's not just a couple letters that are independent of each other, that don't make any sense on a page. Some are capital, some are lowercase, but then it's all the capital letters are all there, so it's easier to go with. And then it's FTZPP, so you get. Oh, we got another guest. Another uninvited guest pops on the show.
You got a menagerie over there.
Yeah, animals big and small. This is our.
It's a big one. That's a big old cat.
He's a sort of Maine Cooney. He's the Norwegian forest cat. He is picking up. If there's anybody listening, yourself with kids, do you have kids?
No. We just got married about a year ago, and a little over a year now, and we're thinking about it. But this is like the last opportunity we can, because we're in our 40s. So it's just like it's probably going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon.
Don't wait another day. I don't know how exactly it happens, but put on your skits suit, and the two of you, I know you're a great combo of arts and theatrics, and spin the story together and let the magic happen. And then the stork will visit you, and right, the stork.
Yep.
And the cat's still in the room, so I can't spell it more than that. We don't want him to hear. So yeah, I read to Felix, that's my son, and he learned to read real early because of the sound effects on the page. Because say FTZZZ, and then so it's not a standard way. So we sound out the letters together. Before you knew it, I wasn't expecting it. He was reading at 4.
Yeah,
and we
great.
love Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Every book we read now, we're reading Tales of Asgard. And
so
it's fantastic.
I got a question for you. Since they've been introduced to comic books at such an early age, can you get them to go back to stuff like Winnie the Pooh and Beatrix Potter and Uncle Remus, any of those things? I mean, do they even care for it? Because there's no pictures really or nothing,
Well, for him, we read the complete Winnie the Pooh front to back 30 times in a row. It was every night, the cow jumped over the moon. And talk about, man, dreams. And on your book, it looks like your artwork is wonderful, and you're using symbols and that wonderful stuff. Goodnight Moon. Have you ever looked at Goodnight Moon and just thought there is symbolism working it here that I can't even scratch the surface with my conscious mind. It's so fantastic to just the red balloon and the phone and the slippers and your socks are dangling next to your mittens dangling, and the little tiny house with the lights on the end. It's so fantastic. It's so incredible. And man, it's what a leaping point for great art. And then, Winnie the Pooh we read, and then Beatrix Potter. He, at this point, is far less inclined to go backwards and to choose that. But when I'm reading it to the younger one, she's 4 still, he will come listen to the whole thing. And he's as intent as he was then, but he's less apt to accept it. But because I'm reading it to her, he's over the shoulder just like he was before. And he is 100% invested in those same old stories. No matter what. Now he's reading Hardy Boys on his own. But
nice.
If I'm reading Winnie the Pooh to her, he's into it more than she is. And they pay attention very differently. So I mean,
well, even to this day, I still love Winnie the Pooh. I read it. I got a newer copy over there, and I got an original first printing from 1926 Winnie the Pooh. I'm a big collector of old books. Yeah. I mean, I love Winnie the Pooh. Is like one of my all-time favorites. It's like, but yeah, it's just like even to this day I read them because I still think they're just amazing. And also, Skits has a lot of kind of that searching and journey type stuff as Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah.
Where it's kind of like adventure and just weird questions and just doing kind of strange things, you know. So very much, I believe that Skits is big time influenced by Winnie the Pooh. So
I wasn't even aware of it. I mean, maybe it was read to me some as a kid, but I have no recollection of it. And then as a kid, I was Warner Brothers cartoons, crazy, you know, nutty, weird cartoons. They're all explosions and, you know, exploding cigars and all this and that. And then Winnie the Pooh would be on Channel 7 or whatever after, and I would just think, oh, this pushy shit. I'm not watching fucking Winnie the Pooh. I'm sorry, they're out of the room. I started cursing right away.
No cursing. We're all ages here.
I would shut it off thinking this is for girls or whatever. And now that I see it now, I'm grown up and I don't know, the testosterone's wearing off. I'm a lucky old man, bald, I'm slowing down. And I'm thinking, this is the greatest stuff ever. And Beatrix Potter is unbelievable. And that's what brought it was weird the way you mentioned it. Will he go back to reading that stuff now that he's looking at comic books? That was sort of reading that stuff to him sort of was the ramp for me back into comics and cartoony fun stuff that you just think, oh, man, I've been doing commercial illustration so long. It totally kids. Those books are what rekindled, just reinvigorated the brand for me to have fun with art instead of just time to make the donuts. Time to make the donuts.
I know exactly what you mean. And with that, I think we need to show off Fatal, man. We haven't, we've been sitting here talking so long, we haven't even gotten to Fatal yet. Let's go ahead and show people what that's all about.
Yeah, brother. I love it. It's a thrill to be able to put it out there.
Hey, I think it's great. Do you want me to play the video? Do you think that's a good spot for people, or do you just want to talk about it?
I mean, sure, go ahead. I haven't heard it in a while.
All right, we'll play it. Let's play it.
Received a transmission from the planet Pandro. Shall we give it a listen?
I'm calling you because my planet is sick. And not the monarchy, not the royal guard, not a single person on this spinning rock seems to care. It started gradually. First, it got into our heads. By the time I realized something was wrong, by the time I woke up, they were already here. Things look perfect at first glance, but that's how the aliens work. That's how the invasion starts. A slow boil. I'm calling you because I can't trust anyone here. You're off planet, you're a professional, and I'm afraid we might already be dead.
Flynn? How shall I respond?
It's a job. Let's suit up.
That's awesome, man.
And Clint, I was drawing these pages and giving them to Clint, and you know, we were talking all about the plot and everything. And then he didn't tell me he was making that, and he wrote it and got the lovely and talented Von Kloss to do the voiceover, and they showed it to me, and I was like, holy smokes, what are we working on? This is intense.
I know, it's awesome. Hey, as you know, marketing and advertising make it all so much better, right?
Yeah.
If you got the right marketing and advertising on something, you can make the biggest whatever look like amazing everything. You know.
That's right. Let me help sell my pet rock.
That's right. I liked Pet Rock, man. Pet Rocks were cool. They came in a little box, with a little handle. It was nice.
Yeah, but it's all about it. So they showed me that, and I thought, oh my goodness, how? And I sort of said to Clint, I had no idea what we were working on was this exciting. This is really thrilling. And so we were over the moon to start the campaign and put it out there. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, the story is fun to work on. It's this fellow who's, speaking of marketing, he markets himself as this exterminator who will come and solve your problems, and he's sort of this. He takes care of whatever on the planet people are having problems. If the bug people of the planet don't like the mammals, and he gets the call from them, and they hire him, he'll come and do the job for them and annihilate whatever species the other species has called to do. So he's sort of this immoral mercenary. He's an exterminator, you know.
Sure.
If I had raccoons in my attic, if they got on the phone first and said, "We have these humans, and they're inhabiting the house, and we can't stand the smell of the food they make and the noise they make in the daytime when we're trying to sleep," and they got the call, he gets the call from the raccoons first, then we're in trouble. But so he gets this call to show up at this planet, and it's from that trailer there, the call wasn't supposed to go out. Well, this guy managed to send it out, and the planet's having all sorts of problems with these big greenish alien reptile monsters that you could see on the cover. And he lands and he starts dealing with it, and everything goes terribly, terribly wrong. Everything's far worse. He starts dealing with it without his helmet on and without all of his gear on. And as everything goes wrong, he realizes, I better really suit up for this, because this is not going how I thought it would. And before you know, he's on the side of this thing, he's falling towards the planet, sees him about to be overwhelmed as they're popping out of, he's right here, he's on the side of this garbage barge that's floating outside of this pristine city behind him, where everything seems perfect and lovely. But underneath everything, so to speak, there's this infestation, and here he is on this garbage barge floating outside, and it's big enough that he's on the side, and these creatures are all popping out of vents, and there's a crest of a wave of them swarming around him, and he's not geared up for it. And right after this happens, he realizes, he talks to his robot body Eldridge, who is sort of his liaison back to his ship, and he go up. There's a page where he goes up and his mask comes down. So he's got to gear up for a bigger problem than he realizes, and everything goes wrong. And down below, while watching up in the air, the two girls who were part of this aristocracy in the city below see this happening, and there's a blonde girl and a black chick, and the black chick says, "Look out there, this is what we got to be a part of." And she's wearing a little, so that's Moxie. And she's young and she's out to have an adventure, and the black chick, who's sort of her guardian, her secret service, so to speak, is saying, no, Mox, you don't want to go out there. You're going to get hurt out there. That's a world out there. You've lived in this tower your whole life. That's a world you're not going to be used to. But so they end up going out there to have this adventure. They meet up with him, and they're not going to get along too well. He's going to, come on, back up, ladies. They provide him with the help he needs on this planet that he has to navigate, and this aristocracy and this underworld that they have to adventure into for him to deal with. And it's going to get worse and worse, and he's going to be dragged into the world that he doesn't know he was a part, that the problems lead into, that the two girls are part of. And
I got you.
That's the story that it goes. So we kind of let about 10 pages of artwork out there, which is all sort of the action on the front end, and leads into the plot. So we didn't give any of the plot stuff away. There are some twists and turns and gore, and these creatures are going to be pretty disgusting, and from there there'll be twists and turns. It's a lot of fun. They hatched these amazing ideas, and then I said, then we say, well, what if this happens? And he says, well, what if this happens? And so that's what I'm saying. You bounce ideas off each other. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you sort of find the story together rather than just where you're maybe my experience is people come to me with copy and an idea, and I just give it back to them. I think a lot of times comics are that way too, where the writer comes and says, "Do this," and the artist says, "Okay," and then but this way it's to me, if you're doing the story right, you're gonna. So Clint and I are really different, right? So I'm this sloppy, artsy, atheist, liberal, artsy weirdo, and Clint's structured, and he's a religious man, and he's a principled man. And me and my core principles, they're all pliant. Everything's just gonna be whatever. So he's got structure, and I got sloppy disorder. And when we put these ideas together, we've got a character that's not like either one of us. His character is who he is, right? And the two girls, they're who they are. And if you're going to be honest about who they are, you're fine. And the story goes, it's not conservative, it's not liberal, because those things are in the story, right? And they're going to bounce off each other. And we found it together, almost like an excavation. And sometimes the story is, well, now there's 100 monsters are going to try and tackle them. And we hatched that idea, and I thought, I don't want to draw that, but it has to be drawn.
So what you're saying is people with two different ideas, people with different belief structures can actually work together and create beautiful things and wonderful things for everyone to consume and enjoy?
Not only am I saying that, I'm saying that's almost a necessity to make it the right way, because Clint is writing this character who's he's a mess. He's drinking. Neither of us drink a ton or smoke, and he's out his own. He's in this sloppy, beat up spaceship. He's more like he's more, if you could think of, do you ever have a cable guy come into your house, or a plumber, or somebody? How often you let people into your house who you maybe wouldn't talk to outside, or maybe he's an ex-con, but he's working on wires in your house. He smells like cigarettes and BO, and you're just, oh, how's everything going? And here's my kids, and here's my house, and everything like that. And they're just as nice as anybody else, but you don't know what this guy's background is. He's tooling around in this beat up, van. Who, if you saw his van, you'd say to your kids, "Don't go near his van, kids. Don't go near his van." But now he's in your house. That's this guy. That's Fatal Flynn, and he's gonna keep getting into trouble as he goes. That's why he's Fatal Flynn. He always gets into these terrible situations, and he's gonna manage his way out of them. But yeah, so the story is, it's all, if you're doing the story right, then it's taking shape almost like we're discovering this in the dirt, in the desert. We're stripping away layers of dirt and sand, and being careful as we expose the structure, because if the story is right, then the structure should be sound. And so hopefully that's how we're doing it.
Well, all I got to say is it sounds really, really cool. It's really awesome. And I got to tell you, like, talking to you at the beginning part of, for most of the show, it seems like we still got a lot to talk about, and we'll probably have to have you on again so we can talk more about it later on down the road. Because I want to get more into illustration and that sort of thing, because myself, that's what I went to school for, was illustration. So, there's a lot of parallels there that we need to get into. But for everyone who's listening right now, it's like, go get Fatal. I don't know what you're waiting on, man. I mean, this book, it looks awesome. Everything about it just smells like a good soup. It's just like, I want some of that, So if you haven't gotten it out there, go over there and get it. The link's in the description. Tell people also where they can find you, Charlie.
I'm at Charlie Snogans. Right there, you can see it at Charlie Snogans. On Twitter, you can find me on Facebook. I'm just Charlie Snogans. You can find me. I don't have a YouTube channel, but I'm starting to think about doing a drawing channel, and just drawing. If it gets views or not, okay, whatever. I really enjoyed. I did Fragtober with Dan Fraga, where I kind of did him live about 10 or 15 times, and I didn't realize I could talk while I'm drawing. I could talk nonstop while I'm drawing. It's actually a lot of fun. And if you want to do it together, it was really fun. I don't know if you draw on screen or on paper, set up a rig and draw while we you want to talk about drawing, we could talk about it while we do it for an audience. And it's strange. You open up even more. I mean, you don't seem like you're shy, and I guess I don't either, but you open up you'll say even stranger things. You think maybe I shouldn't have said that. We're in trouble now.
Well, I do that all the time. You know, my wife, she's listening. She'd be like, "Why did you say that?" I'm like, "I don't know, because it came to mind." You know, I do silly things all the time. You know that, baby. You know, that's just the way it is. But
That's why she married you, man.
I know, you know, but we will definitely do this again. I like to keep it to a minute or to an hour, and we're a little over an hour. So let's just go ahead and wrap, and we'll do this again real soon. Maybe we'll do drawing, maybe we'll do something else. That'd be really cool. I'll definitely do that with you. I've done a few drawing streams. You know, I did a little bit for October, for Inktober. So we'll definitely we'll put something together. We'll do something. How's that,
brother? For Skits, it's been a pleasure.
All right, and let me go.
Man.
Oh, yeah, anytime, man, definitely. And before I get going, I want to say, hey, thanks to everyone who is in the chat. I know I didn't actually talk to you too much or call you out, but I really appreciate everyone who's been here. It's awesome. We have all the same people that are always stopping by. You know, there's some really, really nice people. We got Black Star, we got Verse Films. We had Mandible Smasher. Mandible Smasher, we love you. I mean, you're fantastic. We had William C. He was hanging out with us.
William C. is cool.
I know.
He's a good artist too.
I haven't actually had too much. You know, I'm gonna have to talk to him a little bit more. You know, see what's going on with him. But anyway, hey everybody, I really appreciate y'all for stopping by. We're gonna go ahead and play the skits video, and we're gonna get out of here, man. What do y'all think about that? Thank you so much, Charlie, for coming on. I appreciate it, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, let's do it again, man.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.